WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, hello, hello. And at 4 o'clock happens to also be the day. Oh, 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Welcome, everyone. But more importantly, today is our celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King. So hopefully everyone has done something special today to honor Dr. King. It's always a very, very special day for us to honor Dr. King and all of his wonderful, wonderful works, all the people he's tried to help in his life. We are just so appreciative that he passed this way. But we have a special guest today. It is Mr. Ken Scott of the local real estate organization. Ken will give you the exact title, but Ken is the president of the real estate organization. We're so glad to have him because our third is that Ken's going to be here with himself and other special guests to talk about all the things you need to know about as it relates to real. And there's no one's better to know about that than Ken. Ken's been even than that, but he is an excellent real estate agent. How do I know that? Because my daughter is to have Mr. Is the National Association of Real Estate for the local area.
It is thank you for bringing me on, Edna. It is indeed a pleasure again to be on the Community Bell Show again. I am the president of the Greater Detroit Realtist Association. A long and storied history, a very long, rich legacy of Black real estate professionals. We call ourselves the premier network of Black real estate professionals. We are members of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Our local chapter, of which I'm the president, is called the Greater Detroit Realtors Association. We're different in the sense that we are coming from National Association of Real Estate Brokers as opposed to National Association of Realtors. We fought long and hard to be able to sell. They wouldn't allow us to join their organization initially, and we sued and became members of our own organization, as well as shared with theirs as well. Let me give you a brief history of the organization. We're the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, known as NAREB, which is NAREB, is the oldest Black trade organization or association in the United States. We were founded in 1947 by a premier network of 12 Black real estate professionals, of which 4 were from the Detroit area. And the first president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers is W.D. Morrison, who was from the Detroit area as well, from the city of Detroit, excuse me. We celebrated our 75th anniversary in Tampa, Florida last year with a convention. And our goal is to bring together the nation's Black professionals in the real estate industry to promote the meaningful exchange of ideas about the business and how best to serve our clientele. Members at the state, county, and local levels are called Realtists, and we wear that name proudly. Our primary goal now is to increase Black home ownership, thus increasing Black wealth. Every year we publish a state of housing in Black America called the Sheba Report, which it gives us. Pardon? Say it again. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, our organization is primarily to help increase Black home ownership in our community, in our state. We do that by providing different workshops throughout the month, as well as just different events to educate the general public about home ownership, what it takes to become a homeowner. Most renters are investing in someone else's dream and they're not investing in theirs. That's where we come in. We help to guide them in the process. We have a National Association of Real Estate Brokers investment division, which is called NID, and we do housing counseling in budgeting, credit, mortgages, shopping for a home, making an offer, and closing on a home. And that's every month, the second Saturday of the month. However, we are going to become more engaged under my presidency in the sense that we reach out to various communities across the city of Detroit as well as the surrounding suburbs. That is our goal for this year, to educate as many people as possible. There are some down payment mortgage products and down payment assistance programs that are coming down the pipe that our community needs to be aware of, and we intend on educating them on the process itself. Okay. For those of you that are looking to become homeowners this year in 2023, I can't get a better time to become a homeowner, in the sense that now is time for preparation meeting opportunity. Um, you all have an opportunity to gain home ownership like never before. And that's because it's the start of the year. You may have made New Year's resolutions and what have you. You may have been renting in a situation, good or bad, but at the same time, you want to attain equity, and now is the time to attain that equity, because what you've been paying in mortgage payments, and I know the mortgage industry is kind of crazy at this point in time, and they say it's going to be reduced and what have you, but that's a ways off. What I'd like you to concentrate on is getting your taxes done for 21 and 22, so you can have that at your disposal. Have your pay stubs for the last 2 to 3 months, and your bank statements for the last 2 to 3 months. Hopefully, you've been on the job for over 2 years in the same industry, and hopefully, all of those things come together. Always suggest that people that have their taxes, their statements, and their pay stubs together, email them to themselves first and foremost. That way you can forward all that information, and it's all in one place when you forward it to the lender of your choice. And at that point in time, you can see if you can get pre-approved. There's a difference between pre-qualification, pre-approval, and approval. Pre-qualification is unverified documents and numbers that may lead to you thinking that you're able to apply. However, when those things are verified, that's when the pre-approval comes into existence. And the approval process comes into existence when you have found the home of your choice and your offer has been accepted by the seller as well as the listing agent. And at that point in time, you are able to move forward and move into the process itself. Um, we want our people to be very knowledgeable about the area, but at the same time, it doesn't always come from mother, father, sister, brother, cousins, co-workers, church members, co-workers, whatever the case may be. We want you to come to the source, which is the Greater Detroit Realtors Association, because we like to educate you properly, make sure that you have the tools to work with. We are starting to get an alliance with a number of faith-based initiatives, as well as the Divine Nine, and hopefully those things will come to fruition before the end of the month. We like to establish a relationship with the Detroit Public School System, a school community district as well, in order to stabilize our communities. So those things are in play right now. We want to make sure that, like I said, we're reaching out to you and you're aware of us and where we're located. We're going to be doing several seminars along the way at WC3, the Northwest Campus, the East Campus, as well as the downtown campus. We want to reach and touch everyone that is looking to purchase a home. But at the same time, we also represent those individuals that are looking to sell a home. So often we always go to the people that are in that market selling homes, but at the same time, what you're doing is basically is causing a gentrification situation where you're not coming to your own people and everything. And I don't think there's a better time to mention we need to do business with each other, and conduct business among each other, so our community can experience that black wealth, that black wealth that we aspire to have, but have very seldom achieved, where other communities have. That situation can only be done when we're conducting business among each other. And I hope and I implore you all to reach out to a black real estate professional in that sense and what have you, because if you have a vested interest in your community, we have a vested interest in the community. And we want to make sure that the person that's buying has a vested interest in the community. Um, I can't say enough about us investing in each other. Renters, you invest in someone else's dream by renting someone else's house for possibly
Where
anywhere
is
from
neighbor?
$300 to $600 more than you would be able to purchase a home. So, Edna, you had a question? Okay. All right. So, we all have vested interest in our communities. We all want them to thrive. I always say the three pillars of a good neighborhood are the schools, the residential areas, and the commercial retail areas that surround the perimeter of those residential areas. However, and it used to be where we used to go to schools in our community. We used to go to the elementary and middle school or junior high school and the high school all within our communities. We used to establish alumni associations. Now these kids nowadays are going to 5 schools before they even get to high school. So what we want to do is create stability in our community. We want to make sure that our neighbors know each other, our neighbors respect each other, our neighbors are keeping our neighborhoods up, so we attain the equity faster than if we had not. Um, it's all based on that community effort, that neighborhood, putting the neighbor back in the hood, the neighbor back in the neighborhood, and making sure that we have a vested interest in our communities that we live, work, and play in. Um, we are helping individuals with credit, those individuals that are credit challenged. Um, if your score is under 640 and what have you, obviously, and keep in mind, interest rate is the cost of borrowing money. Cost of borrowing money means that if you have a good credit score, which is over 640 and what have you, you're going to get a prime rate. If you have under a 600, maybe, you may be getting a less or a subprime rate. What you want to do is build up your credit to the point where you're in the mid sixes, and that's in the mid sixes with all three agencies: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. If you're in the that range, then you have a good possibility of getting a good interest rate. I know interest rates are high, but at the same time, don't let that be the determining factor as it relates to you purchasing a home. Let it be the overall cost of maintaining a home and what have you. There are good homes on the market presently. Unlike the this time last year, when we were in a very strict seller's market, it is basically somewhat of a buyer's market right now, where you can negotiate, where you didn't do that in the last 6 months, the first 6 months of last year. So there are homes out there waiting on you to get pre-approved by having your taxes together, your bank statements together, your pay stubs together, and your credit score together, and your debt to income ratio. Some of you may be challenged, however, with some student loan debt. If that's the case and what have you, they're calculating that loan debt at 1 to 5%, and depending on how high it is, will determine your debt to income ratio. And at that point in time, maybe you have to pay down on it, or maybe you have to find other means. At this point in time, some loans are being forgiven for whatever reason, And I could go into that more in detail if you'd give me a call. But at the same time, we have to be aware of some of the obstacles out there, so we have to identify the obstacles so we can overcome the obstacles. And that's one of the things that we choose to do in our workshops that we have on a monthly basis, making sure that you're aware of your obstacles, and then making sure that you can overcome those obstacles with some of the mortgage programs out there, the down payment assistance programs that are out there, the tax abatements that are out there. I mean, we do a holistic approach of how to help you if you would only give us a call. And keep in mind, preparation meets opportunity. That means, in every sense of the word, that you have to prepare yourself before you decide to make a decision. You can't wait till the 11th and a half hour to make a decision and then expect someone to help you. You have to be prepared all the way along, or at least be in preparation of that. So my telephone number is 313-863-5555. That's 863-5555. You can always contact me. I am the president of the Greater Detroit Realtors Association, and we have a stake in our community because we are our community. We are the teachers in our community. We are the realtors in our community. We are the real estate agents in our community. We are the home inspectors. We are the appraisers. We are the title company, the insurance company, the home inspector, what have you. And we are the contractors in our community. So if anything goes wrong with your home and what have you, who you gonna call? I hope you call a realtors. Give us a call anytime. Again, my phone number is 313-863-5555. I can direct you in that path. And let me touch on the holiday. A lot of banks presently have diversity, equity, and inclusion departments, of which they realized that there was a market that they were not touching for whatever reason, whether it been a discrimination initially or whether it be market share as it turned out and got even more progressive. Those departments were created because they weren't reaching our community. They weren't being represented in our community. They didn't have loan officers that looked like us. They didn't have underwriting guidelines that assisted us in the purchase of homes. Now they have multiple programs in each and every financial institution around the United States that says, listen, you have to be able to help someone finance a home equitably. Okay, equitably, meaning that you can't discriminate them on the basis of where they live or where they work or whatever the case may be. You have to work something out. You have to be amenable to the needs in the community that you serve and that you have banks, you have ATMs in, and what have you. So that comes with the Community Reinvestment Act, which is a result of Dr. Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. How many loans are being done in your community? We want to make sure that there's equity all the way around. There's diversity all the way around. And very important, they want inclusion all the way around. Like I said, those departments that exist in those financial institutions now were a product of Dr. Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, because his last initiatives that he wanted to start were based on economics. And you can't get more economical than you can about a home purchase. You can't build black wealth unless you get a home and start working on the other tiers of black wealth that you've been denied or have not worked on to the extent where you start doing that on a reoccurring basis. The purpose of um, Greater Detroit Realtors Association is to increase Black home ownership throughout the metropolitan area. Now, we have local chapters in every state, possibly in all cities that are predominantly or somewhat African American, because we want to increase home ownership in those states, from the West Coast to the East Coast. But at the same time, the one that exists here presently, I am president of, and at the same time, I want to make sure that we reach out to our respective communities in order to educate them and to help them attain Black wealth.
Ken, how many members are there in the Greater Detroit Real Estate Association?
Presently, we have 110. I want to implore any person that is hanging a real estate license or a builder's license or a developer's license or a contractor's license to be a part of our organization, because at the end of the year, I'd like for our membership to be 300 plus.
And so how does someone gain membership? Who do they see? How much does it cost? What do they have to do? And is there a number or an email address?
Absolutely. You can gain access by going on our website, which is www.greaterdetroitrealtist, REALTIST.com. On there, when you apply, there's a rate sheet that's on there for those individuals that are salespeople and your broker is a part of our organization. It is 136. If you're a salesperson and your broker is not a part of our association, it's 146. If you are a real estate broker, our organization's fee for real estate brokers is $201 or $201. And for those individuals that are like lenders, home inspectors, insurance companies, appraisers, title companies, what have you, or in contractors, building builders, developers, whatever the case may be, anyone outside the scope of representing someone to buy a home, then their cost would be $176. So it's a nominal fee for all that you're doing throughout the year.
Is there a monthly fee?
No, it's no monthly fee. It's just an annual fee.
Okay. And so if you are a part of the Greater Detroit Real Estate Association,
Realtist.
Realtist, is there anything else you need to be a part of? Is that the only organization you need to be a part of if you're going to be involved in real estate?
And I'm glad you asked that question. And let me phrase it in a different way. Those individuals that are realtors and they're African American and they want to be a part of our organization, the Realtist, then you can be a member of Detroit Association of Realtors. You can be a member of the Greater Metropolitan Association of Realtors, or GMAR. You can be a member of Knockbor or Dearborn or Grosse Pointe Association of Realtors. But at the same time, we would like to let you know that you have an allegiance and a invitation to join the Greater Detroit Realtists, because we want to be the national, the premier network of Black real estate professionals within the Tri-County area and beyond. We aspire high, so we want you to be ethical. We want you to be practicing. We want you to be reciprocate your services among our own community, so we can build Black among our own community, so that dollar itself can be expanded and expanded within our own community. It needs to turn over several times before it goes to another community. And we want to make sure that we're, I want to make sure that right now that you understand that I am unapologetically Black. I want our members to understand that principle as well. And I understand that they have a vested interest in our community, whether we rise or we fall and preferably rise, that we have a vested interest in our community and making sure that everyone in our community is benefiting and finding value in it.
Absolutely. Where are the offices located for the Greater Detroit organization?
Our offices presently, we are looking for a office presently to be housed on centrally located, but housed specifically maybe on the west side or somewhere in mid area of the city of Detroit, but at the same time be able to represent anyone within the metropolitan Detroit area from wherever our location is going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
like I said, we have a lot of things in store this year. Our A lot of internal things are going to happen, but at the same time, where you're going to see us most is being exposed to the community by teaching homebuyer ed classes and letting you know what the lender programs are. There are some programs that are coming out shortly, and I'll make sure that you're aware of that through the Community Bell Show that will help potential home buyers and renters find out about these programs, these mortgage programs, these down payment assistance programs, the tax abatements that are in the city of Detroit. Recently, I just heard, I think it was the other day, that the mayor announced that our values have gone up and what have you, and you won't be automatically assessed, but at the same time, understand you will be assessed eventually. And I would expect that to be within the next couple of years that you're going to be assessed. But that's a good thing because
Absolutely.
now you have equity in your community. Now you have equity in the house that you've chosen in that respective community. And let me also state your importance by buying a home. You are not only just buying a home, you're buying a home in a community of which you need to keep building on and making sure that it's all that you want it to be and all your neighbors want it to be, with a good school system, a good commercial retail around the perimeter, and good residential where people are observing what they need to do in order to keep their values up in their community.
And that makes such a difference
Yes,
in
it does.
communities when the property value is up. It makes a difference in your school system,
Hmm.
in the kind
Absolutely.
of businesses that are in your community. It makes a difference all around, and the safety of your community.
Exactly. There's no one out there that will say, "Oh, I want to buy a house in an unsafe community."
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
sounds so ridiculous on its own merit, let alone anything else. I mean, do you want to come in late at night and everything, and be accosted or whatever the case may be, or do you want to live in a safe neighborhood where your neighbors are looking out for you, your community is looking out for you, your block club looking out for you, what have you? Those are the things that we need to get involved in that we haven't. I mean, and let me implore those individuals somewhere between 30 and possibly 50 years old or 60 years old. You need to take stake in your neighborhood's block club and your neighborhood's community association, because that's where you hear things. That's where you find out things that can assist your neighborhood and protect your neighborhood and keep it safe and keep it thriving.
Exactly. Exactly. And for those of you who are moving into new neighborhoods,
Mhm.
one of the first things you want to find out about is there a neighborhood association? Is there a block club?
Absolutely.
Is there
Absolutely.
an association so that you can get involved in that organization to keep your property taxes at a space that you can afford them, but more importantly, to keep your property value up?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I like to bring up this meme with Frederick Douglass on it if I can.
Absolutely.
I believe that that's queued up and what have you.
Yep. There it is.
And let me state this: I saw this years ago, and this is my cover page on my Facebook page. It says, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe. That means if you keep quiet, if you ignore the things that are happening in your community and against you, then our property suffers, our people suffer. So speak up against problems such as that, so we can build our communities and so we can attain Black wealth, and we don't have to go outside of our neighborhoods to find goods and services, where we don't have to go outside of our neighborhoods to find jobs, where we don't have to go outside of our neighborhoods to find safety. Okay? Those things rest with us. If we were to only demand them and make sure that they are in our community, of our community, and by our community. So
Absolutely.
please take note of that.
Well said. And that's the thing that it makes us think about is our children. Because when we have children and have young people, and they see that the adults of the community care about that community enough to make sure it's safe for them, enough to make sure they have good housing stock, enough to make sure they're getting the young people involved in whatever those community activities are and supporting them, it makes the children, number one, feel safe. Number two, of course, feel loved. And number three, feel that, gee, I can do this also. I can succeed because I see people around me being successful. I can succeed because I see people around me caring about the community. So I'm going to care about the community to the effect of I'm not going to throw paper on the street because I don't see adults doing it. I'm not going to leave my lawn uncut because the adults are not doing it. I'm going to do the things that I see adults doing. I'm going to emulate their behavior because it appears to be good for the community. So it's good for us, but it's so much better for young people. The young people see us doing the kinds of things, actually doing what we tell them to do. We've got to model that behavior if we want young people to do it.
Very much so. And I'd like to bring that video forth if we can, because that gives an idea of what NARAB is, what the Greater Detroit Realtors Association is. I'd like to play that if I can, just to let people know who we are.
Going back to 1947, NARAB was founded because African Americans could not be members of NAR, at that time. And so there were a number of local real estate, African American real estate trade associations around the country who decided to come together and form a national organization.
We would be accused of blockbustering. You see, and introducing, I know we had a case in Atlanta where we were charged with introducing some disruptive kind of residents in white areas when we would sell a black person a house in a white neighborhood.
When they opened it up, the women could go in and sell. Most of the men could not. They did have a problem with black men. I think they were still kind of frightened.
to join together Black real estate professionals and to fight for the rights of African American homeowners, 12 people founded the National Association of Real Estate Brokers in Tampa, Florida, July 1947. The NAREB developed out of the National Negro Business League, whose founder was educator Booker T. Washington. W.D. Morrison of Detroit was NAREB's first president. The group called itself NAREB and its members Realtists, and established its motto in the 1950s, democracy in housing.
It was created because the realtors were calling themselves realtors. No, we couldn't call ourselves. See, the realtors is a trademark. It's patented. We thought realtist was the most appropriate term.
There is nothing better than coming with your brothers and your sisters and sharing in education, sharing ideas, and knowing that you are considered the cream of the crop of minority real estate professionals.
NAREB president from 2007 to 2009, Maria Kong, joins a long line of past presidents who have built on the accomplishments of great leaders before them. Presidents like George Harris, 1953, the only president to serve 3 terms. Q.V. Williamson, 1963, who established NAREB's headquarters in Washington, D.C., a first for any trade association. Albert Johnson, 1987, who with Presidents Williamson and William Hamilton founded NAREB affiliate RIMBY, the Real Estate Management Brokers Institute. President Tom Holmes, 1985, opened brand new doors for NAREB in the nation's capital. And Evelyn Reeves, in 1989, became NAREB's first woman president.
It's really a family, and it's a family of opportunity. It's a family of education. It'll open your eyes to anything you want to do. NAREB really let me do. I could do and be the best of whatever I wanted to do. That's really what it was.
Because you are the key. Not only are you out there interacting and making these homeownership possibilities happen, and I know what your goals are.
Gaining access to power, NAREB led the fight for fair housing in America and would change the race game forever for Black homeowners and real estate professionals. NAREB, more than any other group, pushed for the Fair Housing Act of 1968. The groundbreaking legislation did away with legal barriers to Blacks moving into white neighborhoods, and the law made it illegal to discriminate against Black real estate professionals. NAREB's Atlanta board, the Empire Board of Realtists, won a landmark lawsuit filed in the 1980s that went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The ruling made it illegal for the Multiple Listing Service, or MLS, to require agents be a member of the National Association of Realtors, or NAR, to use the MLS advertising service. Realtists and any other qualified agent were now able to join.
Each time it seems that we eradicate one issue, another one, pops up. And so we continue to have to be advocates for our people and for these communities. And of course, it goes beyond just advocating for our people, because generally, when we are successful in knocking down many of these barriers that exist, everybody benefits from it.
NAREB leaders work with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, as NAREB formed its own affiliates, among them the National Society of Real Estate Appraisers, the Real Estate Management Brokers Institute, and the National Investment Division. NAREB's relationship with HUD secured contracts for Black appraisers, property managers, and counselors. Through its affiliates, NAREB for years has trained realtists in these professions. And through its decades-old University of Real Estate, NAREB keeps them certified and up to date.
So we have fought for democracy in housing throughout the years, in all aspects of housing, not only just residences, but we want to participate in the marketing, the sale, the construction, the financing, and even government service that relate to housing.
NAREB worked with the housing agencies Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to get realtists certified to sell REOs, or bank-owned properties, for the first time. And NAREB partnered with lending institutions like Chase Home Loans and many others over the years to open doors for realtors and homeowners.
As we face the housing challenges of today, we must also take a step back and reflect on the milestones that have been achieved. NAREB, the nation's oldest trade association, has played an important leadership role in driving and helping to shape fair housing standards for the mortgage industry. They have also been a strong advocate on behalf of the African American community on issues that affect them and realtors.
A virtual collapse of the housing market in the late 2000s demonstrated the relevance of NAREB today in the 21st century. Well before it was mainstream news, NAREB spoke out against predatory lending and foresaw the housing crisis. The National Association of Real Estate Brokers' #1 goal remains democracy in housing. For NAREB, that means removing the barriers for African Americans to reach the dream of home ownership and making sure there are opportunities for Black real estate professionals to soar as high as their ambitions.
So we have impacted the whole country in helping those who are disenfranchised, who are hurting. We have become counselors, we have held their hands. You know, we have become almost everything to the people in our communities today. And that's what we do. That's what we have done for years.
Powerful. That gives us a great insight as to what NAREB is. That is wonderful. I'm so glad you were able to bring that to us.
Well, I am as well, because a lot of people didn't know. I didn't know prior to a couple of years ago. And I'm going to tell you, when I went down to Tampa, Florida last year and went to the annual convention, which was our 75th, I don't think I've ever been so motivated and so inspired by the collective energy that was in the room. That were all Black. They were all Black, trying to meet one collective goal, and that's increasing home ownership within our respective community. It inspired me to be involved, engaged, and be president of this great organization.
Quite incredible, quite incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you did. I think this is going to be a great year. WVTC Detroit is going to be right there helping out wherever we can, because it's so important for all of us. For all of us. And so on this every third Monday, everyone listening audience, if you have questions about what's going on in the real estate market, how you can buy a house, when to buy a house, who to talk to, what you need to do, you'll have Mr. Ken Scott, president of the National Association of the Metropolitan Detroit Association of Realtors. Got it.
Well, the Greater Detroit Realtors Association.
Greater Detroit Realtors
And
Association.
keep in mind that over the next couple of months, we're going to unveil something that is going to be life-changing for individuals within the Tri-County area.
Oh, that's powerful. Can't wait to hear about it. Glad we're going to be able to share with our people on WVTC Radio Detroit, stellar award-winning radio station, I should add.
Absolutely.
And we're just happy to have it here. Thank you, Ken, so much for this.
Thank you.
We can't wait for the third Monday in February so we can hear more about it. Everyone, thank you for joining us on this Martin Luther King Day celebration. Ken, thank you so much for all the history you shared with us. We'll look forward to it. Third Monday.
Thank you as well. Definitely.
Everyone, see you next Monday. Community
All
Bell
right,
Show.
have a blessed month.
And have a great week and a blessed month. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.
The views and opinions expressed on the previous broadcast are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of WVTC Radio Detroit, its advertisers, or affiliates.